Ladies and gentlemen, Katie Boyle!
Okay, stop. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Obviously, you guys know it's taping, so you guys are the best. Really quickly, before I even start, I do just want to find out who's not from the United States. Clap it up. Hi, people. Okay, where are you from? Oh, Cork! Do you guys know? Clap if you know about Cork. Okay. They love Cork. They're obsessed with Cork. Anytime you meet a Cork person, you'll know they're from Cork because they will tell you before they tell you their name, okay? They love Cork. And you're from Cork as well?
No, I'm from Dublin.
You're from Dublin?
Friends anyway.
Oh my God. You guys don't understand. This is like Staten Island, Manhattan, okay? They have overcome so much to have this friendship. But you guys are sitting in the front row. Irish people in the front row. That's madness. Have you been here a long time? You must have been. Yeah.
8 years.
8 years, yeah. That's the mark where you get the American confidence to sit in the front row. You can use your voice and talk to. It's amazing. Clap it up for these guys. This is growth. And you guys look great as well. I am from Ireland. Surprise. No, I actually will be living in your country for 10 years this month. Yeah, I know. Nearly a New Yorker. I do. I love living here. I actually had a choice between Germany or here. And I was like, obviously, I should go to the United States because they speak English and I speak English. But I found out very quickly I don't. Because every time I would speak to an American, after a few seconds, they'd be like, oh my God, your English is so good. And I'd have to be like, oh, thank you so much. It is my only language. I always thought that was like a you thing for the people from the United States. I thought it was like a you issue that you didn't know that Ireland speaks English predominantly as a first language. But it is a big country, so it's like, that's fine, but it's still a you thing, okay? Until recently, I was getting my coffee at my local coffee shop, and the barista also has a non-United States accent, so I always wanted to ask her where she's from, but that's something that you guys do. So I was trying to be tactful with it, and then eventually she told me that she was going home to Spain for a holiday, and I was like, oh my God, you're from Spain? I'm from Ireland. We're neighbours. And then she was like, well, how long have you lived here? And I said, 10 years. And she goes, that's why your English is so good. I was like, thank you so much. I've been working on it for 34 years. So I think it's a me thing, to be honest. Words are hard. We do have an Irish language, though. I don't want to mislead you. We do have one. It's kind of hard to explain because majority of the country do speak English as a first language, and it's a bit of history, but it's because when the Brits came, they outlawed it, and the food... that was literally just for the Irish in the room. It is one of those things, though. You know the way Gen Z is making every country feel bad about something? In your country, it's climate change. You should stop. In our country, it's that we don't speak our native language. So I've been trying to relearn it. For the Irish in the room, clap if you can speak it fluently. It's really hard, though. It was taught really badly to us, okay? It's really hard. But I've been trying to relearn it. And I didn't realise how important it is to know your native language, because all of a sudden I was like, wow, we are so dramatic as a people. Because if you want to say I'm hungry in Irish, it's to ucrasurm, but then that translates back into English as the hunger is on me. That is the most famine head way to say that. 2 famine references. That's the thing about Irish people, we will always bring up the famine. Okay? It's our 9/11. I wrote on my notes not to do that joke. I was like, don't do it, but I did it. We have different slang too, because a lot of our slang would have been based off Irish, so I didn't realise that you guys didn't know our slang. Because we know all of your slang, because we grew up watching your TV shows, okay? But I didn't realise people don't watch Irish shows over here. I know you're watching Dairy Girls now, so you're... I mean, yeah, but a lot of you are 20 years behind, okay? Some people actually think that is in real time, and they'll come up to me and be like, oh my God, are the Brits trying to kill you? I'm like, yes. That is why I came to your country. Freedom. No, it's the slang is something I've had to explain so many times, you know? I've never had to... If you are sick back home, you'll say, I'm in bits, okay? And I was saying that to my American friends, like, oh, I can't go out, I'm in bits. And they were like, what? And I was like, got really defensive. I was like, obviously it means I'm sick, because I'm in bits. I'm in little pieces. I'm not whole. Then I was like, oh my God, have I been a poet my whole life? It's so embarrassing. Then there's one that we use everywhere in the country, which is very versatile, and you'll hear it a million times if you ever go to Ireland. It's grand, okay? So how are you? Grand. How's the meal? Grand. How's the weather? Grand. It means fine. I had no idea that Americans were hearing that and interpreting that as grand, grandiose, amazing. So every time I was answering with grand to Americans, and I would say it multiple times, they'd be like, wow, you're so positive. I was like, I'm suicidal. I love doing that line because the people who have been suicidal cackle the loudest. They're like, we survived it. I found out the miscommunication with Gran because I had an American friend over here, a man, and I slept with him because it's really important for me to ruin a friendship. But because he was a friend, I was just like, how was that for you? I don't actually want to know the answer, if I'm honest. But he was being polite back and trying to use my slang, and he was like, it was grand. I was like, fuck you. I did all my best moves as well. I was very quiet and very still. Okay, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed that because I did that recently at an American event and it was all Gen Z advertisers, and when I said that line, they go, "Aww." I was like, it's fine, I've learned from you. I enjoy sex now, I make noises. I'm like, it was really hard for me to date an American because you guys have feelings. It's so weird to explain this because my friend told me I was a hypocrite for saying that on stage because he was like, you're the most emotional person I've ever met. And I was like, yeah, but that's not what I said. Okay? Because you guys grew up with like having feelings and being able to identify them and articulate them, okay? I would wake up feeling I'm depressed for the whole day, okay? I'll call my dad. He acts like I've just called tech support, by the way. Because he's like, have you turned it on and off again? And what the fuck type of answer is that? But then he'll be like, did you have water today? And I'm like, oh, never mind, mixed up my depression with dehydration again. Oh my God, so when I broke up with him, I was fine. That was the feeling I felt. It was just like, next chapter, move on, I'm grand. But the way my American friends were showing up for me, the level of support they were giving me, it made me feel bad that I didn't feel bad, okay? One of the girls showed up to my house with soup. That's a fucking sad food. So then I was like, what is wrong with me? Do I not have like real emotions? And I kept thinking about it. So then I walked out of the street one days and I kept thinking about it, and then my eyes started to water and I was like, oh, sadness. And then I sneezed. I was like, never mind, just that emotion of pollen. It's hard though. I just find there's two parts to it. There's being a woman and there's being Irish. The woman part every woman in the room can relate to. I don't know if straight men know this. When we break up with you, we've already done that 6 months previously in our head. Okay? We have the bags mentally packed. All of the WhatsApp groups have known for months, okay? You walk in for dinner one day, you're like, what are we going to have tonight? And we're like, this fucker has no idea what's about to happen to him. Then the second part is being Irish, because for our generation, I'm presuming we're all from the same generation, the Irish in the room, every other generation had it worse than us. So we could never complain about anything. If we said, oh, my knee is sore, your parents would be like, the recession, okay? Your grandparents would be talking about the famine, even though they didn't exist during the famine, okay? You could never complain. So it's just a people who shove everything down, process all those emotions when they're 80 and immediately pass away. It's a medical condition at home. It's called dying of feelings. And then I find it hard to date American men as an Irish woman. I think Irish women are very, very different. We're brought up in a culture that is roasting. We call it slagging, which is flirting. But that makes American men cry. It's a little bit awkward. And then we can't date Irish men over here. You know why? Yeah, because American women, stop dating. This should be a PSA. Stop dating our men, okay? Because they come over here, and some of them are fine, some of them are good looking, some of them are not. But you're just so enamored by the accent, okay? So they come over here and you're like, oh my God, you're gorgeous. They've never gotten a compliment in their life. They can't come back to us where we're like, you're going to wear that outside in public. And they're perfect for us because they know us culturally, okay? Because we can be quite, you know, hyper-independent, a bit defensive. I'll give an example. When the bill comes to the table, or the check as you guys call it, we will physically fight the Irish man for the bill, okay? He knows he's still paying for that bill at the end, okay? But the American man, I was like, oh, would you like me to pay? And he was like, okay. And I was like, who the fuck raised you? Give me your phone number right now. I found the cute little names that you have for women over here too weird as well. My ex wanted to be able to call me baby. Clap in the room if you like being called baby. Childhood trauma? Or you just like attention? A bit of both. Okay, baby. Sorry, I feel like I just was very. I feel like I should be reported to HR for that. No, it's such ick for me. I hate it. My ex kept trying to call me baby, and I was like, no, you can't. And he was like, what will I call you? And I was like, my name. What a foreign concept. He wouldn't let it go, though. He needed something cute and different to call me, so he Googled what my name is in Irish. Remember the language I told you I do not speak? And he kept calling me Cachine, okay? He might as well have been calling me fucking Pamela. And then every time he'd be like, Cachine, Cachine. My friend was like, why is he impersonating a slot machine? If I ever was a stripper, I wouldn't be though, because I can't wear heels. But if I ever was, it'd be such a good stripper name. Every time you put the dollar in, I'm just like, Cachine. Yeah, I don't like my ex wouldn't drop it as well, this nickname thing. It was the only thing we really had like a serious argument about our whole relationship. He brought it up when he started to show me engagement rings. Also, when he was showing me engagement rings, how do I explain this? At some point in my relationship, my ex decided he was not going to work anymore, okay? Yeah. I know. But see, this is the thing, like, look, every country is xenophobic. It's just, the States, you're a bit more loud about it, okay? But what the story that's not being told over here is that what happens is us immigrants end up coming over and supporting one of your fuckers. That's not the immigrant dream I signed up for. When he showed me the engagement rings, I was like, oh no, if we get married, I'm going to have to pay for the wedding. That's a level of feminism I'm not okay with. But then he goes, don't worry, I'm not going to propose until you let me call you baby. I know. I was like, excuse you. I paid for the rent this month. You can call me madame. Thanks. My ex is nice, though. He's actually really, really lovely. We just have different work ethics and what we want for the future. And I am a little bit older, so all those things they factor in. But I have to say he's nice because I feel quite guilty talking about him. But when I broke up with him, he was very reasonable with it. He was like, you're right, I need to work on all these things. And we had a big conversation about it. And I called my dad and I was like, isn't this amazing that he's been so reasonable? And it was an easy breakup. And my dad was like, he's even too lazy to argue. My dad didn't want me to marry him, just because my dad is he's an Irish man and he's had 4 jobs his whole life. Back home, your identity is kind of based on how much you work, which can be, it's not that it's right, but my dad is not going to accept anybody who hasn't got at least one, So he kept trying to ask my dad for permission to marry me, and my dad knew that he was trying to do that, and I've never heard my dad say so many times, I'm going to feed the cows. We don't even have cows. I don't know what fucking field he was wandering into to overfeed the neighbour's cows. But I'm glad I was with my ex because it taught me a lot about a healthy relationship. Before I was actively dating crazy guys. I loved crazy guys. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's some sort of, mental. But, nice guys would hit on me in my 20s all the time. And they'd be lovely, and they'd be good looking, and they'd have good jobs, and they'd come up, and I'd be like, no, thank you. And there'd be some guy twitching in the corner. I'd be like, that's my man. So, with my ex just being nice, it was so nice to be just taken off the streets, But while I was with him, I decided I should go to therapy, which is very taboo for Irish. Clap if you've gone to therapy, yeah? Oh, yeah, brilliant. Oh, you haven't? Oh, she just confessed to her friend. I haven't told you this, but I'm so sorry, I've been going to therapy. It's really taboo in our country, to be honest. I think we're coming more to terms with it. Best thing I ever did, you could just go and talk about your problems. Before I used to just drink. It's amazing. No, what was so helpful about it is all my exes, they were crazy, they were toxic, they all cheated. But I loved that. Don't get me wrong, I loved a good story to tell my friends, okay? I always had something to complain about. I always had the best stories, and your friends love it too, okay? They don't like, well, they want you to date a nice guy, but they don't want to hear the stories. Oh, yeah, he's just nice and treat me right. That's boring, okay? They want to hear he tried to hit me, but he missed. I can do that, he missed. But anyway, so with my therapist, she was like, don't project any of that stuff into this relationship, you know? And just because other guys cheated, it doesn't mean your current boyfriend would cheat. She made me so chill that I wouldn't even have cared if my ex had cheated. Firstly, he's extremely socially introverted and he plays video games all day. If he had cheated, I would have been like, oh my God, you made a friend. She got you off the couch. Who's this amazing woman? My therapist was weird. She's really nice and amazing and she was so helpful with relationship stuff. The thing is, she was only $15 an hour. So, not all the advice was great, okay? Which is fine. You know, if I'm only paying $15 an hour, you just pick and choose, okay? I told her I have really bad anxiety and it comes out, this is so not relatable for anybody, but it comes out through weeing. Does anybody get wee anxiety? No. See, I'm insane, okay? Well, okay, so I have like 5 cups of coffee and 10 cups of tea a day, and then on top of all your water, okay? So when I go to bed at night, I'm like, oh my God, you should go for a wee. You've been drinking all day. But then I'll come back to the bed and I go, you should go for another one, you know, you have full bladder. I'll go back and forth, and I'll nearly give myself a fucking UTI, okay? And so I said this to my therapist. I was like, obviously I have anxiety and it's manifesting this way. Can we work on it? And she goes, sure, you should wear a diaper. It's like, I didn't say I'm wetting the bed. She got so defensive as well. She was like, I don't know why you come to me if you don't want a solution. I was like, but for months we worked on my ability to say no. I'm just doing the thing that you taught me. I mean, it makes sense. She's only $15 an hour. She probably has like an Etsy diaper business on the side. The poor woman. God, I hope she never watches this because she is lovely. Every story I do about someone is just Catholic guilt afterwards. Like, oh God, no, they're very nice. When my family found out I was going to therapy, they were so, when specifically my grandparents, because that is just like they just could not get their head around it. My grandfather was going around telling people in our town that I was doing the thing Tom Cruise is doing. I was like, I am not a Scientologist. People were coming up to me when I went home and be like, do you think you're a lizard now, do you? I was like, no, I don't think I'm a lizard. God, I had to undo all this stuff. But then my grandfather kept at me with it. He was like, you don't need to pay for therapy, like $15 an hour. But anyway, he's like, you don't need to pay for it. You can just will away your issues. He goes, I had a fear of flying and one day I went, pew, gone. Which obviously everybody knows that's not true. That's not real. He doesn't know the truth, though. The truth is my grandmother wanted to go on trips to Spain when this became a thing, but he refused to because of his fear of flying. She's a nurse at home, so she would take Valium from work. She would bring it home. She would crush it up and put it in his food. So for 30 years, this man thinks he willed away his fear of flying. He was just flying high. My grandfather is so Irish. There's a lot of there's been a lot of really bad stereotypes about Irish people, and I don't think any of the previous generations have really said anything about it, except for Gen Z. They're like, stop it. And I get it, you know, there's you call us violent, alcoholics. I've never been violent with anybody, and I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I wouldn't have identified as one until I came to this country, because I'd be talking to Americans, they'd be like, yeah, I'm in AA, and I'm like, oh my God, did you burn down the house? And they're like, no. And I'm like, did you kill the kids? And they're like, no. And I'm like, why are you in AA? And they're like, well, I used to drink Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And I was like, oh my God, I'm an alcoholic. No idea. And I agree with a lot of the stereotypes. You know, that's not what Irish people are. But the only issue I have is when you meet my grandfather, he looks like propaganda the Brits would use against us. He's worn a Peaky Blinders hat every day of his life. I have never seen the top of his head. I don't know if he has hair. He's a farmer. Well, he's a Catholic as well, and he's a farmer. He grows his own potatoes because he's like, we'll never let it happen again. His favourite drink is Guinness. He's obsessed with Guinness. He actually has his own seat at the local bar with his own arse print, and he goes there every day and he has his Guinness. When I was 15, my first ever job was in that bar, and the owner was like, you're going to pour your first pint of Guinness and you're going to give it to your grandfather. And he was like, it's going to be a beautiful moment. And then my grandfather sent it back. I said this on stage 2 weeks ago in Dublin, and my sister watched the show, and afterwards she was like, did that really happen to you? And I was like, yeah. And so she's 15 years younger than me. He had done the exact same thing to her. That is the longest bit to keep going. He doesn't like Gen Z. Of course, that's fair. He doesn't relate to them. My sister's Gen Z. And when I was home, she was telling me in front of him that she was being gaslit at school. And my grandfather got such a fright, he thought someone had tried to set her afire. Then she explained what gaslighting is, and he looked like he would have preferred if someone had tried to set her afire. He's very nationalist, too, when it comes to Irish culture, because a lot of that stuff was outlawed by the Brits. So we have our... Oh, my God, it's so hard to explain. So we have our own football. Okay. It's called Gaelic football. All you need to know is 32 counties have their own team, okay? And my grandfather he's from a place called Longford, which you also wouldn't know. Oh my God, you clapped. Are you from Longford?
My mom's from Longford.
Oh, you're not going to like the next thing I'm about to say. I don't know if you would have clapped with all the Irish in the room if you really knew about Longford.
I know.
Oh, the joy. Ignorance is bliss. I feel so bad that I'm about to educate you. And like, look, I love going back to visit Longford when I'm here because it's so noisy and it's green. Okay, let's say the good things about it. It's beautiful, but it is the Alabama of Ireland. Okay, they've got guns. They voted against same-sex marriage. There was a whole Facebook thing once where they were trying to vote them off being a county. Okay, yeah, you really did not know what you were wooing. No, it really is like Alabama. One of the girls I knew growing up, she ended up marrying her cousin. People get really uncomfortable with that, and I don't know why, because I'm like, they had 8 kids and 7 were fine. That's just good maths. We could all hope for that, you know? And they're really hot, so good for them. But he gives me this jersey, and I did spend like a good chunk of my life there, so he doesn't identify me as from Kildare. He was like, you're from Longford, here's the jersey. The thing about the jersey, it's the colours of the Ukrainian flag. Okay, and I'm an idiot. When all the Ukrainian flags popped up in New York, I was walking around like I had no idea there were so many people from Longford here this whole time. Wow, could have had a community. And then, of course, my accent is in what's perpetuated in movies. I don't know if you saw P.S. I Love You and Jared Butler doing hate crime of an accent. But we have a lot of different accents, and so if you just hear me with an accent and you saw me wearing the Ukrainian colours, a lot of people were thinking I was Ukrainian. Americans would stop me in the street and be like, oh my God, we're so sorry for what's happening to your people. And I'd be like, the Brits, they left ages ago. And they're like, we knew the Brits were involved. They're always involved. And that can happen living in New York. I don't know if anybody is actually from New York. New Yorkers will stop you and talk to you, and they have this stereotype that they're rude. They're not. New Yorkers are just direct. I mean, if you're insecure, it might seem rude. For anyone who's not from New York, a New Yorker will stop you in the street and be like, love your sneakers, hate your face. You're like, okay. It's refreshing, to be honest. But my grandfather called me and he was like, have you been wearing that jersey? And I was like, yeah. And I told him that a New Yorker girl had stopped me in the street to tell me it was ugly, and he goes, oh, that bitch is gaslighting you. Oh. I'm really excited for him to use new terms that he learns from my sister. They raise the price of milk in the local store and he goes in and goes, you're all narcissists. He would not survive here if he visited, just because it's such a different world. I think New York might be okay. America in general, like some of the PC stuff, and then there's no PC. It's very confusing. You guys pick a fucking lane. But the fact that the C word is such an offensive word is so confusing to me, okay? Especially like for Irish people, you should warn us. I don't know if you know this, but like the C word is our first word. It's usually cunt, mammy, daddy. That's why it's crazy that we would come over here and it's such an offensive word that I could say cunt and that someone would be so uncomfortable, but then be like, bang, bang, bang. Yeah. This doesn't make any sense. I think it's definitely better in my accent. It's more musical. I remember I said it once and a woman was like, oh my God, what did she just say in her native tongue? I was like, I called you a cunt. And then we have these like Irish events, and they're fun. I can rarely go because I'm usually working, but they're so fun to go to because it's always like predominantly people from Ireland. And then there's always one girl dating some guy from the Midwest, okay? And he's just surrounded by people going, cunt, 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 cunt. And you see his eyes light up because he's finally in a safe space to say the word he's been saying in his head his whole life. But it's not natural to his vocab. He's never said it out loud before. And the problem here is you guys pronounce all the letters in the word, so he's like, cunt! And we're like, oh, we didn't fucking say that! Oh, Michelle, he hates women, get rid of him. I wanted to include that whole bit on this YouTube thing. And it's like a TV show thing on YouTube, and I wanted to include that. But if I say cunt on YouTube, the algorithm literally fucks you, okay? Which, by the way, is discrimination against Irish people. But I was like, how do I include that? Like, it's like one of my favourite bits. And then I was like, oh my God, you're such an idiot. You've been just going around the country saying cunt 17 times. You could just say C word. Everybody knows what the C word is. So I did that, said C word. They posted that section of the joke. And then someone online wrote, what's the C word? I was like, what fucking rock have you been living under? But then some nurse from Iowa wrote the funniest thing I've ever seen, okay? She wrote, Christmas. Is the new C word. My grandmother's a Christmas. Which is fine, I'd have her no other way. It's important to have an Irish granny in your life because they keep you humble. I'll give you an example. As a female comedian, I'd say one of the differences between being a male comedian is that when you post something online, people go for your looks. Men go for your looks for some reason. And it's not, none of this is, it doesn't matter what I look like to tell jokes. Do you know what I mean? To tell stories. It doesn't matter. And plus, male comedians look like trolls. So... But the men are just doing it because they feel jealous or they're angry, whatever. But they'll be trying to point out things about your looks. And I'm like, you think that can hurt me? My grandmother told me when I was 4. This isn't news to me. But that's why it's a little stressful to bring an American man back home to my family in Ireland. And like my ex is like Midwestern vibes. We won't say where he's from. But you can picture, okay, already you know what, you get it. So when I met his family, it was so different to mine because we were in a public space and they were giving him so much public displays of love and affection that afterwards I was like, I'm so sorry, I had no idea you've been molested. He was like, no, my family just love me. I was like, that is disgusting. Oh my God, if we saw that in Ireland, even though you're 29, we would call child services. So when he met my granny, it was Christmas Day. She's so cute, by the way. She's tiny little yoke, and she's sitting in her chair, and she has a quilt over her, and there's a fire. It's auntie, fucking wholesome, okay? He walks in, he goes, hello, Mrs. Boyle. It's lovely to meet you. Happy Christmas. And she looked up at him with a smile, and she goes, I want to die. And he was like, was that Irish? I was like, yeah. And then she looked at me, and this is the first thing she said to me. She goes, why haven't you gotten a fringe yet? A fringe is bangs. That cackle was evil. But I looked at my ex and I was like, I wanted to get them, but he told me he thinks they're unattractive. And she gets out of her chair, waddles over to him like as if she's about to defend me. And she looked at him and goes, would you not let her cover that fat forehead of hers? I was like, has it been you roasting me online for years? At Catholic Granny 44. My granny, my dad is, he's the best. I love my dad. He's quite woke for an Irish man, to be honest. He's like, I don't know, okay, I'm going to say. He got awarded this year in Ireland, in our county, in Longford. Longford's not the best, but he got awarded African Ally of the Year. I mean, it's pretty fucking cool. He just loves going for tea with people. So he's just in every community organisation he's in having tea. But that means that I don't feel worried about bringing anybody back home, okay? I am not afraid he's going to say the wrong thing. So I brought 2 of the girls home and they live in the States and he's killing it. He's talking about their culture, their religion, fucking killing it. But then he pulled out a bottle of whiskey, okay? And, okay, you guys are already guessing, my friends are Muslim, okay? But he forgot that, and if you don't know, they're not meant to drink alcohol, and he forgot that. But then we saw him remember in real time. I remember whiskey is how we show our love. So he's like he got the most expensive bottle. Like he was just like already like, I'm having a great time with the girls, and he pulls out and he's like, oh, is this a bottle of it? It's actually like a gold label, Jameson. And then he went, oh, fuck girls, what have I done? I'm so sorry, what have I done? I feel so bad. I can make you a cup of tea. I'll make you a cup of tea or a ham sandwich. I've got a lovely ham in the fridge. They were like, calm down. We're Muslim the way you're Catholic. And he was like, then we're getting fucking drunk. But they go, but pork is disgusting. But the thing is, my little brother's name is Porrick. So my dad was like, what did my son do this time? It sounds like a fake name, but it really is a real name. It's not just for the joke. It was funny because I told my brother, I was like, I have a joke about you. And I did it in Dublin. And I was literally trying to look to see, but he was okay with it. He was like, it's fine. When you said I have a joke about you, I thought I was going to have to like leave the country afterwards. But we got really drunk. And my dad's a little young because he had me young. So we're drinking. We're really, really drunk, okay? So my dad says, isn't it crazy that men used to get a finger up the arse to check the prostate, but now they can do it with a blood test? It's crazy we ever had to go through that. None of you in a million years could have guessed that was the sentence I was about to say. The shock on your faces. But then I said, why do they still put a finger up a woman's arse? And they all looked at me, and did you ever have a room that is so drunk become collectively sober? I've never seen the girls with better posture. But I would say dumb stuff a lot, like, I know I don't have a prostate. And my friend was like, are you having a breakdown? See my dad pull away my whiskey. So I was like, no, let me explain. It's just my gynecologist has been doing that to me for 8 years in the States. And my friends looked visibly upset, okay? They were like, oh my God, you've been assaulted. And then me and my dad looked at each other, and it's the hardest we've ever laughed. Nothing funnier in Ireland than a bit of trauma, to be honest. It's very bonding. But I also think because it's the one time, you can never, ever blame a victim, but it's the one time I give you permission to blame me, because in 8 years I never went, why are you putting a finger up my arse? I was just like, does it look good? Okay, great. My friend gave me her gynecologist then. She was like, you need to go to her next. It was kind of crazy though when I went. She didn't even look at my arsehole. She got the weirdest Yelp review that day. I was like, 5 stars, won't finger your arse. But before I went, when we were sitting there all drinking, my friends were really distraught, and they were like, you have to report your gynecologist. You're going to have to call up. And I was like, call? I'd rather be fingered in the arse. No, thank you. It's way more uncomfortable. On the phone, the anxiety. I can't. I do have ADHD. It's weird, though, because I got told by my therapist again, but I actually was told as a child. The doctor told my mother, but my mother is not a reliable resource, okay? She's possessed by demons, which is how we say mental health issues in Ireland. But she's mental. So I didn't really know if I had it. I should have known. I do remember at one point being tied up with a rope because I was so hyper. It's okay, that's just our Ritalin. When we grew up, it was so weird with mental health issues. Like, it's a land of, we're mental. We're all mental, okay? There's like famine, trauma. Everybody has ADHD. Like, I got diagnosed by my therapist over here when she named out the qualities. I was like, you mean being Irish? Like, it's just a land of people talking over each other and running around, like, naturally on cocaine. But it's just, I mean, it must be that sort of in the, but it's okay to be mental, but it's not okay to get the help or be told you're diagnosed mental. Okay, let me explain. Right, okay, so, because growing up we had this, she's trying to go to therapy. This is an intervention, there's no taping, lock the doors. The doctor is coming. But it's okay, it's not a gynecologist. The gyno will see you. But it's better to be mental than to be diagnosed mental, okay? I'll give an example. There's this guy in my town, he was called Crazy Bob. Everybody loved Crazy Bob. Crazy Bob was a part of the community. Now, Crazy Bob was called Crazy Bob because he would set things afire. You know, your car going fire, like, fucking Crazy Bob is at it again. Well, you loved him, you didn't care. You were just like, I got a new car. It was grand. But then months went by and Crazy Bob stopped setting things afire. And everybody was like, oh my God, what's going on with crazy Bob? And then one of the girls was like, did you not hear he got diagnosed and he's taking pills? And everybody was like, Bob really is crazy. It's a weird attitude to have, but I do think that it should be kept in consideration where we are with that stuff when you're throwing out the stereotype that we're alcoholics. And I'm not going to say that we're not. You know, some people are, and alcoholism is a thing. But I think you should just understand why. If we can't do pills and we can't do therapy, what the fuck do you expect? Okay? We're just self-medicating as a nation, okay? And it's a bit judgmental that every time you meet an American person, they're like, oh my God, are you from Ireland? Are you an alcoholic? While they're popping Xanax. Yeah, my booze are my Xanax. Keeps the voices away. I do know that there's definitely still an issue with it because we have propaganda, because every Irish person says the exact same thing when you ask them why do they drink so much. They'll always go, it's just to take the edge off. The edge is a serious mental health issue. ADHD, it's weird because when you come here and you tell people you've issues, Americans will always try to fix you. And I don't want to take pills for ADHD. I'm happy with my life, okay? It's a bit blurry, but I'm happy, okay? And I hate that people keep trying to bully me into taking pills. I don't want to. I've come so far. You know, I've gone to therapy, I masturbate. Leave me alone. It's already ruined me. So I can't also do pills. It's just too much. And so I remember this girl and she was like, you need to do the pills. You need to do the pills. And I was like, why? And she was like, it's the first time I ever understood my thoughts. I was like, fuck that. Okay, my thoughts is a crazy person running through my head. It's intrusive thinking, but it's just in and out. That's not me. It's just whoosh, you know. It's like when you're in the subway and there's a crazy person runs through the kind of carriage, but then it's in the next carriage. Gone. You just ignore it. Go over there. So that's all. It's just a subway person going. I don't want me to slow that down. No fucking way. My thoughts are a Bad Bunny song. I understand about 5 words. I'm happy with that. I'm just like, hola. ¿Cómo estás? Don't need my thoughts to be sweet, Caroline. Kill your cat. I won't. I love my cats. I love my cats so much, but anyway, we don't have time to get into it. My cats are the best. No, they are. One of my cats has like severe anxiety, which is like, hysterical. The other one is literally like a 1920s Irish gangster. He goes, meow. And when he killed a mouse, he didn't just kill it, he drowned it in his water bowl. I swear to God. But my other cat has a lot of anxiety, and because my ex was a quite tall built man, my cat was traumatized by him. Anytime he'd move, this anxiety cat would just like run under the bed. So when I got my new apartment, and it's way bigger than the one I was living with my ex, and it's mine, and I'm all by myself, the cat was having a better time than me. I've never seen him just running around. He was like, meow, meow, meow. He was having his eat, pray, love moment. But anyway, that was just such a distraction because the ADHD, that's not in my notes. No, I find people here quite open with mental health, and I really do love that, and it's helped me so much. It's why I went to therapy. It's why he's gone to therapy. It's why you will go. But no, you're not prepared for it, though, when you first move here. It was very stressful for me when I first moved here. I went into a bar. I ordered a cocktail, and I hadn't had a cocktail before, to be honest, so I was really excited. So I'm there, I'm ordering a cocktail. And then this American woman looked at me and she goes, oh my God, you got an accent. And I was like, so do you? And then she took a second to kind of register that. But then she started to talk about living in the United States, how hard it is, and she got into really deep stuff, which is so funny because you guys are so friendly. Irish people are so friendly. The difference is Irish people, surface level, okay? It's friendly, but it's a bit of crack. Crack means fun. It's easy going, okay? But here it's more deep. It's more. I can't have that conversation if I haven't had booze. So in Ireland, when we have deep conversations, it unfortunately is when we're drunk, and we actually have a name for it. Like we have an acronym. It's DMC. For anybody who doesn't know what a DMC, it is deep, meaningful conversation. We're so uncomfortable with the words, we had to abbreviate it to something that sounds like the DMV. It's the same experience. Oh my God. So she's talking to me and I'm like, I just don't think I can have this level of conversation. And I'm willing the bartender to be quicker, really regretting choosing a cocktail at this point. And she looks at me and she dropped a bottle of pills and really loudly, and remember this is 10 years ago, so I wasn't as fucking woke as I am now, really loudly she goes, "Oh my God, that's my lithium," or something from the fucking periodic table. I would have never saw that in Ireland, because if anyone had pills, they'd never own up to it. If someone dropped a bottle of mental health pills, they'd be like, "Don't look! It's just the dog's medicine." And then they would lie about a dog for 10 years. But then she looked at me and she goes, "Oh my God, sometimes I feel suicidal." I'm not qualified to have that conversation. Okay. Also, don't come to an Irish person with something deep and being serious like that, okay? Come to us for jokes, because you go, "Oh my God, I'm suicidal," and we go, "Let's get the rope." You do that to an Irish person, they'll be like, "Life is good." But I don't know how she's going to react to that, like how serious this is. I don't know her, so she's looking at me, waiting for something, and I looked outside and I go, "Did you see it started to rain, though?" I acted as if she had farted and I was doing her a favour by ignoring it. Then the drink comes, I say bye, I go sit with my friends, but then she waddles over. Of course, we're besties now. And she started to try to offer us acid. This woman's like a back alley pharmacy. And what is it with acid people? Acid people, they're in a cult. They're in a cult. It's like a fucking pyramid scheme of acid. Because they won't let no. It's never just no. They say the same propaganda. They're like, "No, you have to do it." I'm like, "No. Like, you'll meet God." I don't believe in him. That'll be terrifying. And if I'm going to believe in a God, he's a Catholic one, he's going to call me a whore. So that's not a fun high for me. I am Catholic, and it's so weird because I'm Irish Catholic, so that's different, and I know it's different now. But when I first moved over, I wear a cross. I've been wearing it since I was 12 from my confirmation. Okay, christened, confirmation. Just make up words as I go. But I'm very Catholic. I would identify as that. Okay, and then I move over here, wearing the cross. Americans are like, "Oh, you're Catholic?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Do you believe in God?" No. How are you Catholic? And I'm like, "Because I believe in shame." At some point in Ireland, Catholicism became very political. I mean, I think it always kind of was a little political. But, they really stepped away from the religious aspect, but kept, the guilt and stuff. It definitely is a main identifier of Irish people. But it did become very political, and it's hard as, a Irish person who comes over here, because I'm young enough. I'm not super young. But I'm also usually the first Irish person that an American has met, and eventually, inevitably, it always comes to, "Tell me about the Troubles." And I'm like, "Google it." Because you're going to get a better answer than I can give you. Because A, I was a small child when it ended, and B, I was living in the South. It didn't affect me at all, okay? But the only way it did affect me is in how you would hear about it from the older generation. Like my uncle one time, so okay, really quickly, so I feel like, okay, so there's the Catholics and there was Protestants. And Protestants are with English flag, Catholics are with Irish flag. Catholics were a minority up the north, and that's where the Brits held on. And everybody was fighting. It was very dramatic. Okay, that's all you need to know. So anyway, my uncle would be like, "Oh, the fucking big Catholic head in you. You go up the north, they'll murder you in your sleep. The big fucking..." I was like, "What?" I was 8. I was like, "Where's north? I'm never going north. Don't bring me north." Traumatizing. And then you come here and people try to ask you to explain about it. And it sounds ridiculous if you don't explain it. It really is just an English-Irish thing, okay? But they're like, "But what's the difference with the religion?" It's nothing, really. A few little things. And then that makes you sound even more insane that people were killing each other over it, because one of the main differences is that Catholics, we believe that Mary was a virgin, and Protestants believe that she got some. As a whore, I'm with them. If you don't know the story, basically God went down, or he was planning to go down to impregnate Mary. That's how he was going to have the Son of God. But the thing is, he was actually quite busy. So he sent Gabriel down to do his dirty work, okay? Gabriel walks up to Mary going, "Hi, I'm God," like every guy in a bar. Mary's never been more relatable than that story, because every woman, especially women living in New York City, has taken home a guy who's like, "I run the company," and the next day you find out he's just a fucking intern. People get to explore their religion here, though. I don't think, for Catholics over here, it's not as political as it would have been when we were small. Catholics be singing in churches here. Have you seen them? The fucking hell, the joy. That's not the church I grew up in. Oh my God. But I actually met a girl, and I love meeting people from different religions, and I love that people do get to explore their religion, whether or not they're religious with it or they're culturally religious. But that's a great thing about the kind of diversity here. And so my friend, though, I met this girl and she told me she was a Lutheran. I'd never heard or met a Lutheran before in my life. And instead of asking, sorry, what? Could you elaborate? I did in the Rolodex of what I've learned in school. And then I remembered learning about Martin Lutheran. Nearly told a very different story. Martin Lutheran, but kind of similar, you'll see why. Martin Lutheran, and I remember that he put the manifesto on the door in the 1500s. But I actually confused some stuff, and I thought that was for communism. So when she told me she was Lutheran, I was like, oh, she's fucking communist, okay, well, okay. That's cool. But then every time there'd be things that would happen, like I might only have one drink, she'd have four, and we'd split the bill. I'd be like, some fucking communist behaviour here. Oh, we're all equal. God. This went on for ages, and then eventually her granny passed away, and she said, we're going to have the funeral in a Lutheran church in Queens. I was like, the fucking churches now? And then I said that to her, I didn't know communists had churches, and she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you're a communist. It's okay, you can tell me. And she was like, no, I'm a Christian. We're both Christians. And I was like, no, I'm a Catholic. She was like, you're a fucking idiot. No one told me growing up I was Christian. Did they tell you? Right. They were just like, you're Catholic. I didn't know I'd be watching Christians on TV, These Americans over there, I'd be like, they're fucking mental. No sex before marriage. What do you do? We had sex before marriage. We just cry afterwards. Well, yeah, no, I went to the funeral, and that's like something you would do in Ireland. Everybody from the country goes to the funeral of one person. Okay, you don't even need to know that person. It's everybody goes. Not the same with Lutherans, I'm presuming. Because by the way, side note: if you don't have an Irish friend, fucking get one, because when their granny passes away, go to the funeral. It's the best time you're ever going to have, okay? Especially if you're in Ireland, okay? They always have the eggs with the paprika and the mayo. Only time we spice our food for some reason. Always so excited to go to a funeral. And they always have great soup, a tea, booze, dead body in the corner. That's a fucking party. So fun. So, I go to the funeral. Now, but what happened was they warned the priest that there was a Catholic coming, because when I walked in the door, he goes, on his microphone, I know there's a Catholic here. I was like, my uncle was right this whole time. Did I go north? And he goes, you're allowed to come up and take the bread. This is in front of everybody. You're allowed to come up and take the bread as long as you believe that God is the one true God. I didn't even know we had the same God a week ago. I thought they were praying to Marxism. I'm always weird about that too. I hate that. I don't like when we say that. It's not a great sentence, because we can all have our gods, okay? And that should be fine. That's why I don't trust atheists either. Too confident in their non-belief, okay? Atheists soon are going to get organised and they're going to be knocking on our door like, there's nothing when you die. As another side note, Ireland actually always would have left the doors open in the house. Everybody did, every family did. Until Jehovah's Witnesses came to the country. They were like, we've had enough, God. But anyway, I need to take a break. It's so weird as well. Like, I had like a fun priest growing up. Like, it was kind of boring, and the mass was like, it smelled like incense, and everybody was falling asleep. But at least he'd be a bit of fun when you'd walk in. He'd never ask if you believed in God. He'd just be like, you're not English, right? Ha 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 ha. It's a bit of crack. But so I've never been asked. That's such a. But then I need to take that bread, because that's how you give the family the nod. Like, I support your dead. I'm here. Okay. So I go up, I take the bread, and I ate it the way Catholics do, which is you ingest it immediately. But then I turn around, there's a woman with a chalice full of red wine. I'm like, she hardly wants me to drink red wine. Like, you'd never get the wine. What? So then I turn around and look what the Lutherans do, and what they do is they dip their bread into the red wine like it's a mac chicken nugget in sweet and sour sauce. I can't baby bird it back up and be like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know about your customs. So I blessed her. Not the move, because even the grieving family took the time to be like, we didn't invite the weird Catholic girl. It's creating new stereotypes for Catholics. I sat down, prayed to God, because that's what you do. And I said, thank you so much for the bread. It's kind of awkward, because I don't know if I believe in you, but I'm after eating your son. But I thought about it as I was sitting there praying, and I was like, it is wild to me that they all get a bit of that red wine. Like, we never got the red wine in Ireland in the church. It's so bizarre to me, you know, and I don't think we should get the red wine. You know, only the priest gets to have the red wine, okay? And that's the hierarchy of it. He gave up a wife and kids for us. He's the only one who should get to be good and drunk during the mass. The rest of us should have to wait until 1 p.m. until the bars are open. That's fair. You're telling me they all get a bit of that red wine? They're all equal to the priest? I was like, I fucking knew this was communism. They're definitely more open as well. There's a lot of singing as well. And my friend, she has like a fun religious, you know, like enjoyment with her religion. Does that make sense? But she also has other beliefs as well. She also believes in crystals. And I don't believe in crystals, but who am I to say? I'm not the creator of the universe. I don't know what works and what doesn't work. So when she gave me a crystal, I was being respectful and I kept it in my purse. I kept it in my purse for 8 years. Okay. And I remember saying to her, oh my God, I've had your crystal for 8 years. And she goes, oh, that's amazing. Have you been charging it by the moon every 4 months? Have I been charging it by the moon? No, I haven't been charging it by the fucking moon. That means for 8 years I just carried around a pebble. She's open with sex as well. I've never met someone so open with sex. She was the one who told me about female masturbation, to be honest. I never really knew anything about it. I remember hearing boys when I was younger, like, talking about it, but they were like, you can tell if a woman masturbates because she has short fingernails. And I was like, grow your fingernails. But I didn't do it, and I never masturbated until I moved here. And I remember because she was talking to me about it, and I got really red in the face, and she was like, have you never masturbated? And I was like, no. And she was like, fucking do it now. It's like, Jesus. Sexual bully. She actually bought me a vibrator. What a lovely gift to get a Catholic girl full of shame. Traumatized by the thing, I hid it under my bed like it was a boogeyman. I didn't use it till the pandemic, the drought of 2020. Because I heard Jesus be like, fucking do it, girl. But then when I used it, I just don't know if I don't know how to use it or if it was like malfunctioning, but it would turn off right before it orgasm. I was convinced I was being haunted by a Catholic ghost. I nearly started charging the thing by the moon. I'm not qualified for sex here, and that is something I have learned the hard way. I think there's something weird about this country. Because I know that I try to deter American women from dating our men, but I will say, if you want to have sex with us, if you want to have sex with Clare, Irish men are the easiest men to have sex with because we're you know, we grew up with, you know, lights off, candles, shame. It's more romantic, okay? It's easier. All you have to do is touch an Irish guy's leg and he's fucking good to go. But American men, it's 0 to 60. You're kissing them, they pull back and they're like, punch me in the face. What is happening? God, terrified. I'm so scared of it. I'm not qualified for it. And I remember saying it to the girls, the American girls, and they were like, no, it's fine. And they're telling me what they do. It was like a horror story, okay? They're like, with the slapping and spitting and choking. They have sex like they're in the IRA. They're willing to die for their cause. I found out I would have been terrible in the IRA the first time an American man choked me, and I was like, the operatives are over there. As a side note, I don't think Britain ever really did weaponize our Catholic shame, and they should have. I don't know if you guys know this, but the first time rubber bullets were ever used in the world was in Derry, but the Irish Catholics still fought for what they believed in, okay? And I thought about it, and I was like, why did they use rubber bullets? They should have just thrown dildos at them. They would have been like, fucking take the country. It's ruined. But the openness to talk about sex, like in a way, it's amazing. It is amazing because I've learned a lot. But when I brought my father here, it was a big shock to the system because I brought him to a comedy show and I was on a lineup with 8 other people, and one of the girls got up and she talked so graphically about her sex life that my dad experienced that comedy set like a man who's been to Vietnam. Because still to this day, he has flashbacks. He could be making a cup of tea, he could be walking down the street, and he'll just go, oh, Katie, do you remember the girl who was talking about putting cum in her eyeballs? Cum in the eyeballs? What is going on with this country? I say to a man, I say, you let me know when you're about to come. And then when he says I'm about to come, I leave him, I close the door, and I give that man some privacy. Shocking. So with my ex, I was really nervous with him being American. So I was like, is there anything you'd like me to do? And he was like, I really like to watch porn with my partners. And I was like, wow, I had no idea you're going to hell. Didn't know that about you. No, I figured that was easier than like whatever other thing he could have said. So I was like, fuck it, we put it on. But I hadn't seen porn. You know, I was in my 30s. I'd never seen porn before in my life. So when he put it on, I started to watch it like it was a film. Okay. I saw a book she had. I was like, oh my God, she's an activist. And I got so into it that I said to my ex, you finish yourself. And I went back to my movie. I thought it was so interesting. And she was wonderful. She was doing great things. She's definitely the star of the show, the porn woman. The porn man's not really doing much. But then she was being so fabulous that I started to get Catholic guilt, but not because I was watching porn, but because I was being a terrible sexual partner, okay? I just looked at my ex wanking in the corner and I was like, I'm not doing what he would like me to do. So I figure I could just watch and copy what they're doing on the porn thing. So I was like, come here, but it's near the end of the movie and she's letting porn man exit on her back. It's the cleanest way I can say that. So I said, come here, do an Irish exit there. I heard my Irish male friend just cackle with that. Anyway, so come here. And so I even made noises. I was like, sounded like my haunted ghost vibrator. But then it was over, and he goes, and it was like kind of, you know, it was easy peasy, it was fun. And he goes, that was so sexy. And I was like, fucking sex queen. This whole time. But then he goes, I know you're just trying to stop me from coming on the carpet. He couldn't see me in fun porn girl capacity so much that as he was jerking off, he thought, she's going to nag me about that later. Oh, never mind. She's using her body as a human rag. Very efficient. I'll never be able to be up to the speed as American. I should probably say New Yorker girls, maybe a liberal. I don't know what the fuck. But that level of sex, I'll never be up to it. Okay, but there is one thing that I can do. One thing that Irish women can do that American women can't. Okay, so when I first came over, my accent was so heavily fetishized, and I hated it. But then I realised, what am I doing? This is like a powerful tool. And there'd be a lot of time during sex you just wanted to end. So now what I do is I just go, top of the morning to ya. Those men explode like they've never exploded in their fucking life. So shameful to my country. So my biggest culture shocks was porn and avocados, to be honest. Was there avocados popular before you came here? No, right? I came over here, a lot of my friends are from South America, and I went over to their house. That was my first group of friends. They gave me avocado, and I was like, what is this weird green stuff? And then I ate it, and I immediately turned into a white American woman. I was like, put this in my face all the time, take all my money, put it in my face. I went out and tried to buy one. The thing is with avocados is when I brought it home, they don't come with instructions. So I didn't know how to open it, okay? And I tried to be careful because I'm very clumsy, so I used a butter knife, the safest of the knives. I stabbed myself so hard that I had to get stitches. Now look, it didn't hurt because I literally cut a nerve. and then I'm like, I was so fresh to the country and being so Irish, and my roommate was like, you should go to the hospital. And I was like, oh no, I wouldn't want to bother the doctor. But there was like, it was like literally like horror movie blood going this way. And my roommate was crying. She was like, go for me, please. They're trying to make her feel better. So I go, but I was a rookie to the country, and I gave my real name and address, like an idiot. Which you don't need to do, by the way. I gave them everything. I was like, here you go, my phone number, my email, all of this stuff. And then afterwards, they gave me a $4,000 bill. I was like, no. You should have given that to me before you sewed me up. Because I would have said, no, thank you. I would have booked a flight to Ireland. I would have been up $3,000. So I'm like, no, I'm not paying for this. And I just refused to. And for a year, they harassed me. They went so far that they contacted a distant cousin of mine, okay? And he's so distant. So my great-grandfather's brother emigrated over here and he had a lineage. That's where that guy is from. He called me being like, this is not how we should be getting connected. I was like, well, you just saved on 23andMe, so we're so distant, we could have sex. We won't. He's ugly and we're not in Longford, so... My family are going to be like, what are you doing, Katie? But yeah, so I called the hospital finally and I was like, hey, I'm not paying. And she was like, excuse me, miss, you have to pay. I go, I don't have to do anything. She goes, you have to. I go, no, I'm an immigrant. I'll just leave your country. And she goes, okay, $300. And I was like, sold. So that's how you get affordable healthcare in this country. A few years later, avocados got introduced into Ireland and my dad sent me a newspaper clipping and it said, top injury in Ireland, avocado hand. I was the first of our people. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Revived an ancient 1600s art of Ireland that really is only practiced by a very, very small few